Welcome to the Checkered Shorts Podcast, a podcast of three fraternity brothers reconnected by their love of IndyCar. Join us for grid-rival IndyCar fantasy talk, predictions for upcoming races, and reactions to race day results and all things IndyCar. Let's go racing! All right, welcome back to Checkered Shorts Podcast, three fraternity brothers. Just sharing our opinions and sharing our love for IndyCar. We want to start off today on our post-race reaction coming off of Long Beach race by thanking a special individual, Ryan Mad Dog Maddux. That's my cousin. Just I'll share a birthday just a day apart. So we've had a lot of fun memories in college, but runs the Maddux auction barn there in Greensburg, Indiana. And there were some old IndyCar memorabilia up for auction, and he shared it with us. And he said, "Yeah, we'll throw our hat in the ring for this." And we won that. We all got a couple of posters coming to us to show off, and I'm sure we'll display them in future podcasts. So big thank you to Ryan Maddux.
Bargain of a lifetime. The one I got is very similar to this one. A couple of Miller High Lifes. There's a four-time champ that I think has been awarded to Dinwiddie. So, thanks, Mad Dog. Hell, this is a good Sunday for me, right?
You've had a good week, Patrick.
Thank you to Rory. Won a few dollars on a little pool bet with me and a couple other few hundred people. So it was good to me. Got the truck detailed, cleaned out. We're ready to go. But I think it was, for me, awesome to watch the Masters. I don't think it was great for IndyCar to have so much going on with Bristol as well. Bristol holds a little special place in my heart. We used to go with some high school buddies way back in the day. So the trifecta there. But it was a hell of a Sunday for me, just to be able to watch it all. And that was my Sunday in a nutshell.
Definitely had the multiple screens going on today with the Masters and IndyCar at the same time. I didn't get to see any of the Bristol race today, but that's all right. I heard Kyle Larson did what Kyle Larson does, and he is the best of the best, and that's why we're excited to see him come again this May to Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
I heard some speculation that this
overall, I thought the race was good, and I hope viewership was up. I think they said Long Beach was sold out from an in-person standpoint, so hopefully they had the viewership to go along with that as well.
I did see speculation that this might be Larson's last run at IndyCar at the 500.
I think it depends on how he does, right? Like, if he goes out and wins it, I could say, yeah, that's probably it. But
not many of them have ran more than two or three, right?
No.
Kurt Busch.
John Andretti, maybe back in the day, might have run more than
that. Was before it was like cool to do it. You know what I mean? That was just a
Tony obviously has more of, but he had more as an IRL driver than a NASCAR driver.
Tony, I think, was the closest. So no, it's not a year after year after year thing to do. So, but besides Tony, Larson definitely has the best shot to probably ever do it. So, yeah, what were your, first reactions of Long Beach at 50th running consecutive? What do you guys think?
I think you kind of alluded to it earlier, but just watching on TV, the stark difference between thermal, where there could be no crowd, and then sets of grandstands full of bodies. And they also showed a lot of cutaway shots from the stands to the track. And it also looked like watching some qualifying, there were people out and about all weekend long there at Long Beach. So that's nice to see, kind of amp up the excitement for those people locally.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned the views. I love the drone shots, and I think when they even opened today, like, you could see those grandstands were packed down the front stretch with people. And that's exactly what we want to see. But, from a race standpoint, obviously when you're your pole winner ends up winning the race. So a lot of times you can say, yeah, not super exciting at the front, but I think there was a lot of excitement. I know Pat will probably get into it, the Kirkwood and Pelot battle there throughout the race, but there was a lot of on track passing and just action in general. So overall, I thought it was a pretty entertaining race. I thought Fox did a good job of covering that and seeing those battles as they were going on.
I think, go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, I said each week we kind of talk about who's impressed us and who has not. And so a guy wins the pole and finishes in first. If he didn't win, you'd be saying, what the heck happened to him? So he just went out and did what his car was set up to do, which in itself is pretty darn impressive.
Yeah. That pit exchange between him and Pelot, Dinwiddie alluded to it. Most people would crap the bed of knowing that this guy is literally right behind you.
Yeah. With tires that were already warm and ready to go.
Correct. The best of the best right now.
Yeah.
And Kirkwood then pulled away. It took him a few turns, but that was huge. If Pelot would have passed Kirkwood right then and there, game over. 22nd advance of by winning the race. So I think it was good. I watched the first practice and Jack Harvey was walking around, running around, doing his Jack Harvey thing, but there was tons of fans.
Yeah,
like wherever he was, like in the shops, the little kiosks and everything. So that was again. Everybody says Long Beach is super awesome. Greatest ever, but they produced, man. It was cool. It was really cool to see. And then during the race, you got the Mario feel, you got the Unser Jr. feel. You don't get those at Barber. You know what I mean? Some of those guys might be there, but you're getting, some Joe Schmo that won a couple times that nobody really cares about. So I liked how I'm sure that's a lot of Fox driven. Like, hey, let's get the viewership. So I think just because it's Long Beach in the 50th, but I still think Fox did a little bit of let's show this.
Yeah.
So we'll go down the line and talk about other guys that impressed. Brian, who impressed you the most today? Well,
I think we have to start with Kyle Kirkwood, and I hadn't thought about this, and we didn't really talk about it ahead of time. But, Kyle's one of those guys. I don't think that guy gets enough credit for as good as talented as he is. He won in every series coming up, and I know he struggled in that year that he was in a Foyt car. But since he's been in Andretti, Andretti really hasn't performed for the last 5 years. And, Colton will pull one out of the hat here and there and have a dominant performance. And we know Colton's a very talented driver, but I'm not too sure Kyle's not the number one driver on that team. And
100%.
He proved it. I know Colton ended up second in the standings at the end of the year last year, but if you go back and look, Kyle was Mr. Consistent a year ago, and that's only his second year with that team. This 100%. Being year 3 now, like now he's sitting in second place. He went toe to toe with Alex today and took him down. So, is this the guy that's going to challenge? We've been talking about Newgarden and McLaughlin and Herta. But is it Kirkwood that is the guy that's going to step up and take Pelot down off that top pedestal? So I was impressed with what Kyle was able to do today.
Nance, I have something, but you go if you got it.
The only one I was going to mention is Ferrucci, just because he's kind of a Checkered Shorts favorite. A great, energetic, young, aggressive driver that came from last in the field and finished where, Brian?
I think it finished 11th.
So really made some moves. And so from front to back, there was a lot of racing, and there were a lot of guys that made a lot of movements in the wrong direction, and some people that made movements in the correct direction.
To me, it's Lundgaard and Rosie. Two guys that have not, that for me personally, like I needed to see them produce, right? Lundgaard after the qualifications hit the wall. But they both produced yesterday or today. So Ben Rosenquist is watch out for him, Mr. Consistent. He's not going to win a ton of races, but is finally starting to figure it out. And Lundgaard is right there. I think as you can see, those two finally getting to hopefully be these next guys in the series. We need it, man. We really need it in the series.
Yeah, you talk about, and Keith and I know you're a big Pato fan, and Pato is super talented. But when we will take into account these first 3 races of the year, his teammate is really kicking his butt. Lundgaard's been there every race this season, and they're still talking about the fact that this car still set up the way Pato likes it. Like, it's not even the way Christian wants it, and he's performing the way he is. So Pato's got some competition just right there in the paddock next to him. So
Lundgaard maybe could have won this race if he didn't have that in qualification, that accident in qualifications. He after the race, he's like, this all goes to the pit crew. He's like, they got me up and running. I didn't know what I was driving. Kudos to them. So imagine if he had a car that he was comfortable with. Like, let's see.
And he was set to start in the Fast 6. When that accident happened,
maybe on the pole almost.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I felt like at Thermal, Lundgaard kind of pushed Pato to race a better race than he might have otherwise. And we talk about competition on the track, but competition on the teams is not a bad thing to bring out the best in your drivers, because I think everyone wants to be on the top of their team as well, obviously for contract purposes and other things. But, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of competition on your team. I mean, look at some of the other great teams that have been dominant over the past several years, and it's because they got guys all the way through their lineup that can race.
Good point. Really good point.
Yep. Will Power figured it out again. Scotty Mack is fine, 6th. Will was 5th. Newgarden, I liked his strategy at the beginning. I thought it was really off. Like, nobody saw it coming. Obviously, he had the incident with the seat belts, but holy moly, Joseph Newgarden finished dead last.
Yeah.
That's big.
So that moves us to the WTH portion of the show. What happened? He's definitely number one question there. If you didn't tune into the race and you're trying to watch a recording of it and you happen to pull up the app and you see him at the bottom of the list, you think, oh, he must have gone out of the race with some form of an accident at some point. But that wasn't the case at all. He just a series of unfortunate events.
Crapped the bed.
Yeah, I'd like to learn more about that as over the next few days. But
that's a good
it looked like one stop, like the guy was in there kind of head first trying to fix his belts or whatever, and another crew member came and yanked him off, and then they sent Joseph out, and then he was back in a lap later. I just wondered if he would have stayed in there the first time. Maybe they could have gotten that fixed, and he could have stayed on the lead lap. Not saying he would have finished high, but gosh, not 27th, especially after coming off Thermal where they had another bad week. That's 2 in a row. That's going to be really difficult for Joseph to bounce back.
Keith, what'd you say on the text thread? Like he's too strong for him.
I said when his lats are too big, did he bust through the? He's the Incredible Hulk of the series.
Just busted through.
On that hairpin turn, he was bearing down too hard and just burst right out of his belt.
Just ripped through the seatbelts. Yeah. That's hilarious.
Who else kind of fits into that category for today?
Well, I think I'd throw Rossi in there. I think that in qualifying he had told Hinchcliffe he really felt good about his car, really felt good about his chances this weekend. He started in a decent position, in 6th place, and then I want to say he moved up to 5th, and even Fox, the announcers were talking about him, and the here he comes, and he was moving up on people, and then I lost track of him during the race, and then I just noticed that he finished 15th, He's got to be better than that. Yeah, that's disappointing for them because they've been pretty solid to start the season.
Well, and ECR hired them to be better than that. They're paying mediocre drivers mediocre money.
Sure.
I think obviously they don't have as much money as the big guys, but they still have it. And yeah, Rossi needs to be a top 5 driver at all times, in my opinion.
Well, especially at Long Beach where he's won twice.
Yeah, sure.
You would expect him to get the job done here. He knows how to do it here.
Yep. No, I agree.
I will throw my own guy into that category just from someone that wants to see a more consistent finish. To finish at 13, I think Pato started in the 9th position. So not like he lost a ton of ground in that race, but why was there no movement, and what was the issue that kept you from making up any ground? Starting 9th and finishing in the top 6 would, I consider that a win, as a team. But to start in 9th and drop back to 13th for a guy who's supposed to be a premier racer, on the circuit, it's disappointing as a fan because you want to see him. You always got that optimism, even after a bad week of practice and qualifying, that maybe he'll come out and run. It happened at Thermal. He didn't have a great quals there either. But to me, I just feel like you're searching for someone to step up and break through.
I think he will. I just think it's the street course thing. He just, for some reason, what are we in year 5 now? Like, he still hasn't figured out how to run street courses. And I don't know. I don't know what it is about those that get him, but the numbers just don't lie there.
And I think he's still, this goes into another topic, struggling with the hybrid.
Hybrid, do they have a hybrid in this series?
I don't know. But it sucked because the sport needs Pato. The sport wants Pato to finish 13th and to not make very many mentions of the guy sucks. He is the best flamboyant guy that we need in our sport. But Fox didn't cover him because he wasn't doing very good. But to the hybrid
things Fox didn't cover. Fox made no mention of the hybrid today, and I still don't understand. And I know Fox is doing a lot of things better than NBC did, but I loved what NBC did last year, where they showed kind of that regen and the deployment of the hybrid, during the broadcast, and we've seen no mention of that at all, and no mention of the hybrid at all in any way.
It blows my mind. So I just thought of this. I did watch the F1 race this morning, the very beginning of it, and they have the DRS zones, and but at least they acknowledge all of this, but Fox and IndyCar did not even use the word hybrid.
No, nowhere.
In this whole 2-hour broadcast, and then Thermal, they did. So they spent millions and millions and millions of dollars to do this, and to not mention it, to not try to talk about it, really, really, really. They get paid way more than I do, but really strange to not talk about the thing that's not even a year old yet.
Maybe Pat, they were waiting for a yellow flag. Maybe that's their yellow flag topic.
Right, but holy moly,
which is also pretty absent from this season. You made a mention to it earlier, Brian. What did it happen one time all season long on the first lap of the first race?
Yeah,
If it wasn't for Will Power, we wouldn't have had a caution yet this season.
Which a yellow flag's good for everybody, right? I keep saying these drivers are really good, and I still stand by that. But to get them bunched back up is always good for the sport. It's always good for us viewers. Drivers probably like it in a lot of situations. But
well, speaking of that, Pat, drivers being bunched up, can we chat real quick about the start of the race today? I mean, if you were watching that thing on TV, like what happened to starting 2x2? Like, I think the first 6 guys were 2x2, and then it was single file. Like, they didn't wait for anything to get set before they dropped the green flag today.
I couldn't remember how they did it in years before this. So you're coming off that 14 turn. So it obviously very hard to get lined up 2x2 on that they call it the 30-mile-an-hour turn, slowest track in the city. So okay, we get that, but then I don't know, 300 yards down the road is when you go green. So they need to, but I don't remember long beaches before that.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
But I still think they jumped the gun. Either that start finish line needs to be 200 more yards, but there was 6 cars, like you said, ready to race. It seemed like.
Right.
So we've been asking for this all year long. We thought about even renaming the award, but this week at Long Beach, we actually have more than one qualifying team for the shit pit of the week. I think some people that are worth mentioning. Herta. I mean, can we not mention him one week? Dixon and Newgarden. Where did they go wrong? And then
the Kelly Landscaping shit pit of the week. There's a sponsor associated with this.
I think you have to start with Herta just because he started second. He went in. I don't remember what lap that was. Within the first 10 laps.
You texted.
He went in second. And he came out 5th or 6th. You can't do that. He's got to maintain position, and in that part. And if it wasn't that it was Colton, I wouldn't be as that fired up about it. But here it is again. This team is not putting him in position to win.
Let's give it to him 3 weeks in a row. Keith, what do you think? Well, I have my opinion.
Well, I mean, the other one was the Newgarden debacle, which again, you kind of wonder who's responsible for that. But to have that mix up and to take 2 pits to sort it out, and for one to also kind of recklessly say, get him out of the pit. If his belt's not properly secured, why are you forcing that guy out of the cockpit with him? So I certainly think that qualifies, but again, is that an error?
No.
Is that an error as much as a malfunction?
No, my friends. The shit pit of the week. Kelly Landscaping, shit pit of the week. Scott Dixon. That back tire changer, it screwed it up for him. Plain and simple. Not that Scott Dixon was going to win the race. Newgardens, to me, had nothing to do with the pit crew. The seatbelt coming loose, you can't put that on anybody other than just the big guy upstairs, just turning wrenches. Colton, I would love to give it to him 3 times in a row, but we don't have very much evidence of it. It could have been a big, got held up coming in, held up going out. So the evidence we do have is live on Fox News. This is the shit pit of the week. Kelly Landscaping sponsored. Goes to Scott Dixon, the guy in the back rear.
That's pretty hard. The Wolfpack has known for years to be the best in the business. So they need to figure it out. So Colton Herta is not the champion anymore.
Dethroned.
Dethroned. But there wasn't too many issues within the pits. It didn't seem, but
a couple things to note about I think there's a couple things.
My favorite driver, Scott Dixon. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, I think there's some things to note about the broadcast itself, because we've kind of hit on this, just looking at the difference between NBC and Fox. One thing I think we all universally can say is a big thumbs up is the driver's eye, those visor cams. It's like you can really get a feel for what's happening in the car. The way they bounce and the way when they come out of a turn, you can kind of see the force on their head and neck. as they're careening to keep their eyes on their targets. So yeah, I thought that was a huge advantage to have that, and for fans to say, hey, what does it really like to have that helmet on? You get a little more of a bird's eye view.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a piece of it. And I think just Fox's overall trying to put the driver in the forefront of everything, even the starting lineups, having the drivers introduce themselves, and, the commercials really trying to highlight specific drivers. They're really trying to make this a personal sport. And I think that's a really smart move on their part.
Long Beach is, if you see those driver cams at IMS Road Course or Barber, it's not going to be like, it almost made me dizzy watching that. And I'm sure it's probably just the way the human body works. It's probably not that bad. But holy crap. Like that's, insane on Long Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the iCam, whatever they call it, but they did have it on Kirkwood. And at the end, they put it live on him after he went, and he was like this. Like you could, like in his cockpit, you could see him fist pump. I thought that was super, super cool. And during the quals or practice, one of the twos, you could see these guys as like literal dash cams, like what gear they're in. And I didn't know this until I think Townsend pointed it out. You can see all four tires, like what color their tires are: green for cold, yellow, and red for hot. Like, I had no idea that they really did this.
Yeah.
So I thought that was super cool to see that real live person in like real time stuff that, they don't do that in NASCAR really, as far as all those real dynamics. I don't think so.
With the start time, we also got the push from the NASCAR race over to the IndyCar race, which is hopeful to grab some new eyes potentially.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
We'll take it.
The other thing I think they must be hearing, because I've never heard him mention it until this race, which is you won't have long to wait because May is jam packed, and so it's like I'm wondering, is this actual, in response to when the producers put together some talking points, are they saying, hey, we need to hit on this, like this season will get ramped up at some point. It's a slow burn at the front end, but it's going to be here before we know it, and then we're going to be weekend with a break and a week, races much more tightly squeezed together.
It's really bad. It's really bad.
3 more weeks till Barber.
It's really bad. They're not going to do 20 races. They're not going to come, maybe even close to 20 races ever. They're going to stick to their 17. You might even go to 16 and probably won't even go to 18.
But they got to space them out a little better and go every other week or something. No more of these 3-week breaks. It's tough.
It's really bad. I get that you do it one, but they need to start with an oval. Have to start with an oval, and that sucks because not too many ovals in southern hemisphere of the United States of America. So no, that's, you can't call it the fastest sport ever in America, world, universe, galaxy, and not see these guys even hit 200 yet.
Good point. But it was cool today to see them at 180 on one part of that track, and then at 30 miles per hour in the hairpin. I
think
that's pretty incredible racing that they can, I know if I go from 60 to 40 as I'm driving on the highway, I feel it. So for them to make those kind of that's pretty impressive.
Fox, I think, has some work to do. IndyCar obviously has some work to do. This is just hard. The three of us just being hardcore fans, not just like, we like racing. You got to be, you got to punch back too of what you like and what you think is good and what you don't think is good. So no, but they both have work to do.
So we're 3 battles in, and
Yeah.
is the war? Is it a foregone conclusion at the championship
Well,
points?
no.
Is it over?
No,
Is there still going to be a race to the top?
there's still a race. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously Pelot's in the driver's seat, but Kirkwood and
He's not-
McLaughlin, I think, are still the two I think have the best chance of taking him down.
Well, he's not great. He's not great at ovals, and it's very heavy oval towards the middle and the end. I mean, and it's racing. His car could blow up just by just driving it. So, the top 4 are ready to go at Indy. The top 4, I don't think have ever won at Indy. That are in the championship point right now. So that's intriguing. It's fun. It's another just something else to write about for Marshall Pruitt. So no,
Actually,
I hope
seven of the top 8 have not won at Indy.
there you go.
So Dixon's the only one in the top 8 in the standings that has won.
And the last time he won at Indy, like 2008. So you practically put that as
The last time he won the 500, yes.
Yeah. So, no, but obviously we want to see more races like that. We don't. We don't want Flo to win them all.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing I would note back to the broadcast, and I don't know how long they've been doing this, but I've enjoyed right before the race when the interviewer is running up and down the grid and getting these guys right before they hop in, because they're amped up, just like any competitive event. Those moments before can be pretty vulnerable moments and pretty exciting moments. So you kind of get a sense of that urgency when he's running up and down the grid, thrusting the mic in front of guys.
Yeah, it's kind of a throwback to F1 and Mikey Waltrip in NASCAR, right?
But I texted you guys. I think I felt Jack is finally coming into it.
Yeah.
He looked more. He's like, I'm just gonna go bust this guy's balls. Like, let's go. Like kind of moseyed his way into Colton Herta. Like obviously he has friends like him and Scotty Mack had good rapport there. Jack was struggling there at the beginning, but I feel like he really came into his own there today. I felt like it was more comfortable and it showed it off like what F1, and I thought Michael Waltrip always did a pretty good job, but it's because he just knew all those guys.
All right, we got anything to add to wrap up this third race in the series at Long Beach?
2 notes.
All right,
Go ahead.
Go. You go. You got it.
Well, I did not know, and I don't think James Hinchcliffe knew that Kyle Kirkwood is called. It looks like Woody from Disney.
Yeah, I never heard that.
No, but I was like, okay, I can see it. And shout out to the Indiana Pacers, 150 for the season. Huge out, pretty big. Big Pacers fan. So those are my 2 side notes. Dinwiddie, go ahead. And top that.
Yeah, I don't think that we talked about the fact that Stingray Rob finished in the top 10 today. Old Speedway Bob, as Connor likes to call him. He kicked Connor's butt. So
I think I saw on Twitter where he's waving at his team.
You got the extra bonus points for beating your teammate. So
side note about Stingray. A few years ago, maybe 3, before he was still in like the IndyCar series or the F2, whatever it was. I was privileged enough to go to Rev, and I had the VIP passes, and you get to do a hot lap with a driver, right? He was my driver. So my wife and I, we held it all in, but holy shit. He in a Chevy Malibu, not kidding you, we were this close to turn 2. And but he was our driver. So I got a picture with him because he was like walking out. I'm like, you were my driver. I was like, is your real name Stingray? He's like, yes. My parents loved the Corvette back in the day. So that's my shout out to Stingray. And to let Connor Daly let you pass him after Connor Daly talked a lot of shit on his podcast about Stingray Rob is hilarious to me.
Well, did you see in the coverage that he waved to him when he drove by him?
Yep. Yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah. Give him a little. How you
They
doing?
had the in-dash camera, and you saw him giving the
No, he
wave.
didn't.
I mean, it wasn't even subtle, man. It was big. It's like almost his
There you
arm
go,
sticking out
Speedway
the top.
Is that fake or did he really do this?
Oh,
Yeah,
he did.
really did it.
He waved at him. I don't know if it was a gracious wave, like thank you, or if it was you suck, I'm going by. But it was
That's
he did wave at him.
hilarious. Like before they were teammates, Connor Daly, not the best driver in the world, had a lot of shit to say about Stingray. So no, that's hilarious.
I think it was a bye-bye because it was it wasn't like a nod. It was a full-fledged see you later, buddy.
That's really hilarious. I did not pick up on that. Cool.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. I believe this was episode 12.
12?
So we're 12 deep, man.
Thanks
we're
for
doing
watching
all right.
and hanging on or listening.
Yeah, we're having fun. So we hope those that are joining us are having fun too. And we'll see you again next time on Checkered Shorts.
All right, take care, everybody.
Adios.